It's a nice day. Nice hot day, guys. Anyways, what is it? It's June 24th. Welcome to another live one. Al cuerpo boxing to the body. I haven't talked about the Hrgovic versus Itauma bout. I've been talking about Itauma for more than a year. I like the kid. He's good for boxing. I like every once in a while when you mention fighters that are good for boxing. I think the last one that I had specifically said was probably maybe Ben Whitaker. Ben Whitaker, maybe even like Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly because of the context of him being a underdog before against Bakram, right? And I actually had predicted that he was going to beat Bakram because sometimes fans forget that evasive, elusive footwork could be to a boxer's advantage, right? And if Bakram was considered the boogeyman of 154, well, I mean, you're not going to want to do his fight, man, right? Evasiveness. And sometimes there's got to be evasiveness, even though we make fun of it. God dang. Anyways, so yeah, Moses Atauma versus Philip Hrgovic, right? One cat is 34, the other one is 21. And I kind of wanted Frank Warren to push Atauma faster. Obviously, he wasn't going to be able to do kind of like a Mike Tyson type of early outcome, right? And sometimes you shouldn't, right? Especially in this era where everything's a lot more commercial and you want to make the money right. And unfortunately, with in Atama versus Tyson's case, it's different eras and different pot money, right? And also one's American, and one's British. So those are those variables. And I feel like talking about the World Cup for a second, man, just because this last week I've been hyped up because Lionel Messi's actually doing pretty good, man. I'm gonna say this real fast. And shout out to Cristiano Ronaldo, Mr. CR7. He just had two goals, right? But I was talking to some friends, man. I'm like, damn, I think Messi right now, I mean, and should he win the World Cup with Argentina, I think he's probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time, man. Probably surpassing Pelé and Maradona, man, to be honest. This is dude's something else. Dude's something else. And so we'll see if Ronaldo or Messi, because you never know, man. Sometimes when the semifinals, then comes the quarterfinals, or the other way around, sorry, right? Things can change, man, under the pressure. So, anyways, that's that. Shout out to those guys, man. Ronaldo, Messi been doing it for 22 decades, man, 20 years deep. That's crazy to do. And so, anyways, back to Atalma. I don't know, man. I'm gonna say this, and I put the title on there. I'm thinking, to be honest, I just see, I see Atalma, or I see somebody. I see the ref stopping the fight. I see the ref stopping the fight, man, because 21 years of age, the kid's gonna have great stamina. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, Hrgovic's got a chin, man. The dude could take some. He could take firepower, of course, but he hasn't fought a youngie, man, like Moses Itauma, an elusive southpaw. For me, Itauma reminds me a lot with the pivoting, obviously because of the southpaw stance. He reminds me a lot of Bam Rodriguez, man. Atama reminds me a lot of Bam Rodriguez. And you can see that Atama is very heavy handed with both hands. He's really good at feinting. I mean, at 21 years of age, his thought process to feint down is really good, man, for the heavyweight division. And I was thinking, how much does Atama, or should he even attempt to feint to the body or probe to the body? Because Hrgovic is a big dude. And I think Hrgovic could take shots to the body. So I'm not sure if that's a good plan. Let me read some comments here. He says, F you America is crazy. I don't know, is this a football thing? Yeah, okay. And vice versa, can Atama take body shots from Philip Hrgovic? Because I think that's gonna be one key difference in this bout, is gonna be the body shots between Atama and Hrgovic, or if that's gonna be somewhat of a strategy in this fight. Because the way I see it, man, the way I see it, with Hrgovic, when you rock him with conceptual combinations, on the top, the dude, he'll lose control. He don't even have to have a guard. I think of that fight with like Adelaide, he was laying on him some combinations, and I mean, come on, man, Atama's a different beast, a different youth, so he's gonna be able to endure that type of combination, and I think. Hrgovic taking that type of firepower is going to do him a disservice going into the fifth and sixth round, assuming Atama's gonna want to go for that early stoppage, man. John Bass 31, he says, Nedior Yaram, James Rosenborg, 1891. He says, well, we've played well the first few games, but okay. So this is a football context. Yeah, yeah. He says, broad board, Jesus, come inside me now. Life change. Come you too. I love you, Turkey. Yeah, man. Shout out to Turkey. Turkey all day. I guess a shout out to the American brothers too, man. But sometimes when you bring in politics, a lot of fans worldwide don't really gravitate that. But this is boxing, baby. We're talking boxing here. So again, guys, for me, if I'm a Talma and you want to make a bold statement at 21 years of age and that you want to already go for a title shot by the age of 22, you're gonna have to stop Hrgovic and possibly you might want to stop him early. All right. I mean, and obviously, like, look at Zile Zhang, and I'm glad somebody. When I saw the cards like 114, 113, I forgot even who that was going to. But for me, I thought that fight was a draw, man. Zhang versus Hrgovic. And that particular fight is why when I became a Zhang fan, because Zhang is how big he is. He's a southpaw and he's able to load up these combinations. What's not to like about Zile Zhang, man? I've always been a fan of Zile Zhang with that Chinese power because that's just awkward. When you watch Zile Zhang, if you go back 2 or 3 years, his fluidity is a bit like Tyson Fury, man. Not as finesse and stylish like Fury, but Zhang saying that he's a Chinese cat and he's just having fun and he believes in his power. That's what I like. So bring in another southpaw, a 21-year-old southpaw, man, and Moses Itauma, who, when you see him rattle guys with their guards, or when he takes guys to the ropes, usually like his overhand sledgehammer, if he catches you, he's able to stun you and you get dropped. I just see that with Hrgovic, man. I forgot, even in that, I think when he fought, when Atama fought Hammer, or who did he fight that was also big torso? I think it was Hammer, right? Yeah. When he fought him, that's how I see the Hrgovic thing. I think he's gonna be able to move Hrgovic's weight, no problem. Oh, some good coffee. My boy, shout out to everybody. Oh, I see. Turkey. You guys are funny in these comments. Yeah, man. Turkey's been flamed since the World Cup. 07 says, Niger boy. He says, James, F you, man. Oh, I thought this was a football and my fault, dude. Yeah, sorry, James. I was talking about I mean, everybody's talking about the World Cup nowadays, right? What is tomorrow? I don't even follow the games, man. I don't follow the schedule. Sorry about that, man. This is a boxing channel, but shout out to the footballers because every 4 years you gotta hype up football. Everybody hypes up football every 4 years, so that's good. As long as everybody's happy, man. Competitive sport is what it's all about. So, anyways, Philip Hrgovic. So, what does Philip Hrgovic got to do to beat Atauma? I'm gonna say it again. Sometimes body punching is very underrated in the heavyweight division. And shout out to Yeet Caballel because to me, Yeet Caballel, even though I think his body punching is overrated, I think his dedication is underrated. If you guys understand what I'm saying. So as far as body punching and precise body punching, I think that's why a lot of fans like Ait Caballel, man. So shout out to him, right? He stopped. I mean, he hurt Zhang for sure. Even though Zhang dropped Caballel, you guys don't forget about that, man. All right, and that's why I still have Usyk beating Caballel, man, just because if you could feint and pop Caballel with your straight left the way Zhang did, why can't Usyk do it? Just watch the footage, man. It's not that hard. Yeah, I could just see Usyk feinting Caballel all night and winning, possibly stopping Caballel, to be honest. So, anyways, tricks for how or tips, strategies on how Hrgovic can beat Atama. Let's see if Hrgovic can have success to lure Atama to the ropes. All right, because that's when that I think to me that's when Hrgovic is the most dangerous with his overhand sledgehammers with his right hand, right? But sometimes, I mean, for a guy like in southpaw position, crouching, I think Atama can see all that stuff coming. You know, in most of the opposition that Hrgovic is landing on, they're unorthodox, and they're either crouching or they're stunned on the ropes. And obviously, that the haymaker, that the right hand that Hrgovic is able to land, is in a different position that I assume Atama would be in on the ropes. That's even assuming Atama was going to crouch on the ropes. I don't even think he would do that. Atama has a lot of variables in this fight, man. He can use footwork for the first time. He can have even better defense this time. And guys, the speed variation, the speed contrast difference between these two is why you should have Atama as the high favorite, regardless of the experience, guys. I mean, we're talking what, 20 and 20 fights, right? Am I getting that correctly? 21 fights that Hrgovic, 34 years old. Atama was what, 14? This is gonna be his 15th fight. 21 years old. Stamina, cardio makes a difference, guys, man. When you're a youngie, think of it as 35% more firepower than a guy in his 30s, easily. And again, you're gonna want to make a statement. I think Atama has the tools, especially when he fights on top, when he's gonna search Hrgovic on top. I just think Hrgovic, he's gonna take too much damage, and I think the corner's gonna stop it or the ref's gonna stop it, man. That's how I see it. But I'm really thinking about the body work from both of these guys. If I'm Philip Hrgovic, my game plan would be is trick trick Atama's team in thinking that you're going to attack on top, when in reality you're going to have to take some to give on attack to the body. That would be my strategy for Hrgovic. So you better really work on those combination body attacks, really, really, or at least body shot, and then you know defend back or follow up with something on top. That's what I would do if I were Hrgovic, and play it safe. Don't go into a brawl with Atama. You know, try and get maybe the first 7, 8 rounds. If it's that difficult, just play it safe from the outside, because Atama, I'm telling you, man, the speed, the counter punching. I just see Atama in any scenario. Worst case scenario, Atama is gonna probably win on points, man. That's the worst case scenario for me, as far as like the prediction of Atama winning. That's the worst case scenario. But I still got him. I have Atama winning by stoppage. Gonna take too much damage on top. What else we got? Speaking of another southpaw, let me talk quickly about Bam Rodriguez. I'm really happy right now that fans are thinking of, or they're acknowledging the narrative that Bam Rodriguez can already fight at 122. Hell yeah. And I've been saying that for a long time. Like, what else was there at 115? If you know the Robert Garcia gym and camp, they are they are one of the best crews to know how to cut weight to go to lower divisions. One of the best, man. And even before Errol Spence flipped his car, my guys, even before that, my guys, Mikey Garcia went 12 rounds with Errol Spence. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, I don't know. What did he win 2 rounds? If anything, I don't remember that fight much. I just know Errol Spence had an easy fight, but still, he couldn't. I don't even think he dropped Mikey Garcia in that fight. And it went 12 rounds. A supposed beast at 147 couldn't stop a 135 or 140 pounder in Mikey Garcia. So my point again is that I think the Robert Garcia's camp, they've always been a 140, 147 pounder at most, but they were able to really, really trim down up to 126, right? So shout out to the Robert Garcia gym, man. Shout out to them for able to do that. And that goes way back, even with like Brandon Rio. Oh, and speaking of, let me do a quick segue. I want to talk about Tank Davis and Robert and Jose Benavidez Sr. But I guess I should finish off with Bam Rodriguez. What I would want to see Bam Rodriguez fight next, obviously a Japanese would be good. What's his name? Jeez, I can't believe Inoue versus Nakatani. Obviously, Nakatani is the one I would love to see first, more than Inoue. But of course, going for greatness, you want to jump and go to Inoue first. Let me do a quick read here. Cholo P2R. He says Mexico, and is that Ecuador or Colombia? I think that's an Ecuadorian flag, right? Or is it Colombia? My bad, man. I forgot. It's hard to see with these polarizing glasses. Anyway, shout out to Cholo. Choloism. So I would like to see again Bam Rodriguez versus Nakatani next, or one of the Inoue brothers. That's a good fight too. I think that even the Inoue's brother give him, I wouldn't say give him problems, but they'll give him a good fight. I still edge out Bam, because I want to see Bam really challenged, and be in a difficult situation where we can see more of Bam's footwork and evasiveness, and not so much like when he fought the that Argentinian recently, not something like that, but at a higher weight, and then we can gauge how is he going to be fighting more of a beast like an Inoue or like a Nakatani, because Nakatani a big ass dude, man. That's a big guy. At 122, has to be. It's going to be kind of difficult for Bam, but I want to see that fight. It'll be great. Look at Golden Dragon. He says, "I saved my neighbor's dog by effing, but he's with Vaseline." Yeah, man. Okay. These kids, man. These kids with computers and cell phones in these eras, man. Watch out for that ADHD and bipolarism online. What did I want to talk about real quick? Oh yeah, Tank Davis and Jose Benavidez Sr. That's a crazy one, man. Here's my take, and nobody said this like this. And shout out to my boy Atomico, and maybe even like Puro Sur and some other cats. You know the reason why Tank Davis, pay attention, you guys. The reason why Tank Davis is going with the Benavides brand, all right, let me say that again, brand. Forget the name, well, I can't say forget the name Benavides Sr., but the brand. So I'm going more commercial here, guys. So we all know that Tank Davis is his brand, Tank Davis' brand, has been somewhat tainted a bit, right? In the last couple of years, you got all these like assault charges. So it ain't good for Tank Davis, right? So how does PBC salvage that right now? We know PBC's the brand of PBC is already low, and the only name, focus guys here, want to talk about brand. The only name that is really pushing the PBC brand is who? Benavides, David Benavides. He is the one that's pushing the PBC brand. So exploitation, right? Exploitation. So if you want to bring back Tank Davis, and you want to bring in hope for the fans for Tank Davis, this is not a knock on Tank Davis, man. But how do you boost How do you boost the hope for the Tank Davis brand right now in the current game? How do you do that? You align him up with Jose Benavides. You align him with the Benavides brand. That's what the PBC are doing, guys. So right now, all the Tank Davis fans, they must be in shock. Like, oh my gosh, he's working with Benavides. That's what the PBC, that's what they want you to feel. And that's, or maybe, I guess you could say believe. But realistically, Tank Davis, he is so neutral, or Tank Davis's style is unique in its own. And I don't even know if has Tank ever been pound for pound. I think for me, the eye test, Tank Davis has always been pound for pound. I like the kid; he's really good. And Tank Davis is another one that's good for boxing. We never got Tank versus Loma, but whatever. Blame that on the TMT brand. I think Tank Davis would have fought anybody. For me, Tank Davis was never the type of character that would duck down on a fight. You know, sometimes proper influence and proper management, you can help a fighter take harder fights. And I'm going to give Tank Davis benefit of doubt for that. But I'm just going to say that it was, again, guys, the PBC. And I feel bad because it always seems like I'm a hater of the PBC. I'm really not. I just think for me, the PBC, they've done a lot of tomfoolery in the business. I don't know if it's karma going back from Golden Boy. By the way, nobody's perfect in the game, and even Golden Boy has faults too, man. Everybody has faults, man. Matchroom, Queensberry, they all do. Don King. So going back to Tank Davis, so is it a good thing? Hey, why not? You know, he's lining himself with the Mexicanism brand of the Benavides family, so that's good for American fans or diehard Tank fans. That's what they get, and that's what the PBC wants, and hopefully that's going to help boost Tank Davis's brand is by aligning the business with Benavides. That's really what it's about, guys. Think about longevity. Where is Amazon Prime in the future? Where does PBC want to move the portfolio in the future? Right? You have to restart the metrics. And what's the better thing? What's better than to align with the Benavides brand? Maybe they failed short that they could have done something on the Errol Spence card in Australia, but Errol Spence is his own unique thing. Oh, shout out to Tim Zoo too, because it's more so Tim Zoo territory. For me, it's more of a Tim Zoo event than an Errol Spence event. That's debatable, guys. I should probably do a video on that, man. Errol Spence and Tim Zoo, man. Shout out to those two cats. Hopefully, it's gonna be a good fight. I'm edging Tim Zoo, more activity. It's his weight class. He has more experience. He's already fought Fundora. He's already fought hard hitters that focus on the top. And Errol Spence really didn't show much against Terrence Crawford as far as like body attacking. I mean, he didn't really risk. He didn't really take the offensive onslaught to Terrence Crawford, and You see what you get. You don't do that, then Terrence Crawford's gonna capitalize and he's gonna make you pay. Right? He's gonna punish you. Quick shout out to Alma de Free. Alma de Free says, "What up from New Zealand? Opataya all day." Yeah, man. Shout out to Opataya, man. That's another one too. Man, this is good time for boxing, man. You see Opataya, but Opataya is Australia, no? Opataya all the way Samoan power. Okay, so yeah, we got that Samoan genetics. Yeah, I'm always like that too. I'm a bit biased to the Samoanian lineage fighters or whatever. You know, shout out to Joseph Parker as of late. Because Parker, I think, is very underrated as far as a brand, but I'm glad most fans have always talked about Parker, man. So shout out to Parker. And before that, I guess we can even include, what's the new guy, Terramona? And then before that, David Tool, man. For me, Ike Abuchi and David Tool is one of the most underrated heavyweight fights of all time when we're talking about the modern day of slugging at heavyweight, man. God, that firepower, that to me, that's like the Canelo Triple G2. Okay, with Ike Abuchi and David Tua, man, those dude, man. Can you imagine being in a fight like that? Or do you imagine being in a firepower with Canelo Triple G2? So that was that. Tank Davis. We know why. Go back if you didn't hear me talk about that. And then I guess I'm gonna here's a special one. Let me read a quick one. Alma De Vries says David still the goat in New Zealand. We talking about David Tua. Yeah, yeah. Shout out. Before I forget though, because I just started a train of thought here, and I just recently heard that the WBA guys, the WBA is gonna let go of the Bridgerweight division. Now you guys are gonna hate me for this. I might as well include it in this video. I'm gonna include it in this video. I would make a separate. I'm gonna make a separate video anyways, but I'm gonna tell you this. I got a new one for you guys. You guys are gonna love this one. What's David Benavidez' next move after McKillian? I haven't beaten McKillian. Guess what, guys? I just said the division a while ago. Bridgerweight, guys. The WBC Bridgerweight division. That should be David Benavidez' next move. So think about it. Everybody's and I've always been hyping narratives for who knows how long, man. Heavyweight to cruiser, right? Heavyweight to cruiser. Fans are confused. Oh, Cuerpo, why you always want fighters to move up, and then industry starts talking about it too, as if I'm wrong, right? I mean, come on, it's not that complicated. A lot of cruisers went up to heavyweight, and more importantly, because David's a big kid. We even seen David hit the weights, man. Imagine David hitting the weights. I think he'll be fine at heavyweight. So therefore, what's the paradox? What's the limbo division that luckily the WBC owns, right? What's in between cruiserweight and heavyweight and WBC, guys? And I just said it again, Bridgerweight. And it's going to be debatable. David Benavides, after beating McKillian, forget Bivol, forget Beterbiev. Okay, if you guys want those fights, or if David, if you're hearing, have them come to you. You got cruiserweight there, or those other guys, right? I mean, if Canelo was asking for cruiserweight against Makabu, then Bivol and Beterbiev could already line themselves up at cruiserweight by now. So shout out to fans that are listening, because you guys know I speak the business. I speak the business, man. David Benavidez should petition the WBC to go to Bridgerweight after beating McKillian. So we got Bridgerweight, Cruiserweight, Light Heavyweight, and Super Middleweight. Four divisions, right? And again, it'll be debatable if David's Bridgerweight success in title WBC is included in the history books, because the other orgs don't recognize a Bridgerweight division. But let's think of it as like as a special tournament, right? Think of it like a Super Six type of tournament, if you will, because it's an accomplishment. That's how Inoue got his praise. That's how Usyk got his praise, right? The Ali tournaments and all that kind of stuff, which aren't necessarily married to traditional championships. Maybe I'm contradicting myself here, but I guess I'm trying to validate and justify Bridgerweight. And that even gives Opataya. Maybe Opataya can consider that. How about this? I don't even know, man. That's what I'm telling you, man. Right now with Zuffa boxing and the way that the industry is organized, the politics, could could Dana White, no, they just can't. I don't see them recognizing the WBC. I was gonna mention right now, maybe Opataya could consider the WBC Bridgerweight belt, and then Opataya could say, hey, look, I'm not a heavyweight. There's a belt here for you at the WBC at Bridgerweight. Why don't you come and see me if you want this belt? That would be great, guys. And ain't nobody talking about that. And please take my advice and recommendations because a lot of this stuff too, anywhere from light heavy with David, even Zurdo and Opataya, now with narratives of heavyweight, I've been consistent more so, and I'm always consistent with the business side of the boxing. So what's wrong with Bridgerweight, right? And I apologize. Some of you might not even like the whole concept of Bridgerweight and because of WBC, but this is prize fighting, guys. It's prize fighting. If Opataya would consider it, and you guys are anti Benavides fans or you're Opataya fans, well then you would praise it, right? Same thing goes for the Benavides fans. If you think heavyweight is too much of a stepping stone for Benavides, well, why don't you try Bridgerweight then? Think of it as a catchweight, man. How about that? Let's consider Bridgerweight as a catchweight for for a cruiserweight testing the waters before heavyweight. It might be an exploitation for fees and money. We all know that this is WBC, but whatever, man. Again, let it be an interpretation of a catchweight. So that's what I got. I'll do a specific video on that. I should do that one in Spanish too for all the Spanish homies there. I know the Benavides family would like that one for sure. But again, guys, let me just recap on Itauma versus Hrgovic. I just got Itauma stopping Hrgovic in a TKO 6. I got the ref stopping it, or they're gonna throw in the towel. It's too much of a beating. 21 years old, man. We're talking prime cardio, prime power on both hands. So that's what I got on this one, man. That's my early prediction, August 29th, man. Filip Hrgovic versus Moses Itauma. It's a big step up for Itauma. And I wouldn't say so much for Hrgovic, but it's a really good fight for Hrgovic too. His challenge is how is he going to neutralize speed, guys? How is he going to neutralize speed? And before I was talking, maybe one of the kickers in this matchup in their training camps is focusing on body punching from both sides. I don't know, man. See, what I want Itouma to focus on body punching, probing, feinting, setting up in the early half of this fight for the Itouma crew, or maybe save that for the second half, right? Damage Hrgovic on the top in the early half, and vice versa. Maybe Hrgovic might want to do that, you know, take some to give some, feint and have success in the body of Filip Hrgovic because we don't know with Talma how he can take severe body punching because Hrgovic has got that physique and build where he can give you some serious damage in body punching. But for me, when I think of Hrgovic, he's more of a slugger on top, especially with that right hand, consecutive slugging on the top, which is good, by the way. But that success is usually or even he has a long cross. I like Hrgovic, the way he's able to sneak a long straight and a cross at times when he's at the center of the ring. But I think for me, if Hrgovic can somehow have success and lure Atama to the ropes, if he can close the ring on Atama, then that's when Hrgovic should really focus on body attacking, man. You're gonna have to do that against the kid. We don't know. That's gonna be the main thing, and vice versa for either two, man. So that's my early prediction, man. I've got a Thomas stoppage in TKO 6. And so, anyways, I'm gonna try and do one right now in Spanish for my homies. I want to talk about Bridgerweight now that I got some time, man. So, shout out to everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Al Cuerpo Boxing to the Body. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace. Time to go do this refill, nice coffee.